I don't know what I'm actually talking about. Oh no. Welcome to Podpadstudios. Boy, are we been busy. Just sitting down having a quiet cup of tea with Bubo and his friend. Tell you about that later. Just tell you what I've been up to this weekend. Last week you saw us down at the Threads exhibition, and this week Marlborough Open Studios. It's on all month, and really enjoyed meeting the artists. And it's just a great way, Open Studios, for members of the public to see art, meet artists. There's no obligation to buy. Go along, have a look. It's free. So I really enjoyed myself, and thanks for the warm welcome, guys. What's been happening at Podpad? Well, a sneaky little preview. Master Maker has been doing a few Tiffany changes and upgrades, and woo, sneak preview. Barbalicious, barbalicious, do 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 do. Really cool. And of course, we got an extra guest here. We've got Spadger here. He's coming for a little bit of R&R, rest and repairs. I suppose you'd call it like a bit of a spa treat for him. And obviously him and Bubo having a big old chit-chat and catching up on old times, which is excellent. So the only other person I haven't talked about is Master Maker, most important last. He had a bit of a jolly at the weekend as well, and took the fire engine out, and things went with a big bang.
Down to the motorbike paddock. Right, now we've got another one here, and do we have an owner for this?
Right, so
Weather forecast.
It's lovely and sunny, and I'm loving it. And Mrs Breaker is not liking it still, but it's nice. Doesn't matter. Anyway, well, it does, but that's a different video. So, what am I going to talk about? I'm going to talk about these again. Now, do you remember I talked about how wonderful these were? I've got these in the models, most of the smaller models. The bigger robots, they're just, I don't like the idea. Plus, I need dual channels. These are only single channel speed controllers. So in the bigger robots, we use the Cytron controllers, and in the droids and Daleks, the saber-tooths. Now, the difference being is the price. When I got these, I think these were about £16 each, and they are single channel, 24 volt brushed speed controllers. Okay, and on whole, they're really useful. They're really good for controlling little things. Now, I've got them on the tank transporter, which uses dual motors, so one of these on each motor. I've just fitted these to the Dana, as you know. I've also got one on the fire engine, except the other day I was out doing a gig with the fire engine. It was really good, but my first run along grass with the fire engine, and it was really good, and I was driving along and controlling it, and then in the distance, I noticed smoke coming from the back of the fire engine, thinking, I don't remember fitting a smoke machine to the fire engine, and then realising at that point that my radio shut down, fire engine stopped, and there was no more smoke. And then there's that wonderful burning smell that you get, you know, that you just know, I don't even need to describe it. You know what it's like if it's experienced it. And the offending item was this, which kind of blew up in spectacular fashion. Now, Mrs Breaker's on the camera. She's going to try and zoom in on this, and you can see the damage here. You can see this is an incredibly tough plastic casing with an aluminium base. In fact, yeah, it's kind of a polycarbonate with an aluminium base, and you can see the aluminium base is distorted and the polycarbonate is lifted, and where these are the motor inputs, they're completely blackened off. They smell really nice, and it just doesn't work anymore. Also, I'm going to try and lift it up. The heat sink that was on here has completely separated, and you can see inside that it's completely, all these, whatever they're called, on that side there are all gone. So these little transistors or resistors or ICs or whatever, I don't know, whatever they are, they're gone. So basically, the only thing I can conclude from that, there was simply too much current draw from the motor. The motor just sucked too much current from this, and this died. Now, this leaves me with a bit of a problem. Here's a new one. Look, rated 640 amps. No, it's not. And I said this in the other video, nothing is rated at 640 amps that looks like that. More like 6.4 amps, probably. So, the motor I'm running it on was a 300 watt motor. Sorry, I'm looking at Mrs Breaker. She's talking from me behind the camera, which she said...
I just lost you by accident. It got a bit blurry, but... So, sorry, folks, about the blurriness.
Yeah, that's why you want to keep the camera operator on the camera. Right, okay, so back to the speed controllers. And she's laughing now, so the camera shots are all going to be like this now. So, 640 amp speed controllers, they're not. The motors I'm using, or the motor in the fire engine, it's got a single motor, which is a 300 watt motor. So if you work that out at 24 volts, it's probably drawing between 10 and 15 amps in normal running mode. And even in stall mode, you know, and it wasn't in stall mode, it was just moving from, and on tarmac, moving on to incredibly short grass. It just failed. So I don't know. It makes me worry a little bit. I'm going to solve the problem with the fire engine. I've got a Sabertooth that I'm going to put onto the fire engine anyway, a spare one that I've got. And it's a much higher rating. But it just makes me worry about the Dana, because I fitted these to the Dana. And even though I'm using dual motors, they're dual 300 watt motors, whether these are just not, maybe they're good for little kind of 540 radio controlled motors, you know, the little drill style motors. Maybe I'm just pushing them too far with big 300 watt motors at 24 volts. No issue with current going in, no issue with the radio. In fact, on my radio, I have a voltage and current sensor, and the radio actually shut down at the moment that this failed. So even though there was no fuses on the motor side, because I don't run them, the radio shut down. I'm going to look at the telemetry on the radio, because it flashed up at one point 150 degrees, because I actually had a thermal, I had a temperature sensor on these. So 150 degrees is quite hot. It was also very, very hot the other day. So we were out where we were actually at Middle Walloop at the airfield there, and the tower reported a temperature of 32 degrees, which is kind of hot. So maybe that heat in the air, combined with maybe the extra resistance of the motor, caused this to just die completely. But it is, as you can see, it's a spectacular fail. It's just completely and totally, you can see here the little ICs, it's completely and totally burnt out. So, moral of the story, don't spend £16 on speed controllers. I don't know, maybe. I still think they're quite good, but maybe they're not good enough for the main drive on a single motor on a 100 kilo model. Maybe I do need something a little bit heavier than this. But that leaves me with a dilemma, and I'll leave you with the dilemma. What do I do with the Dana? Do I leave them on the Dana? How do I test these to destruction? On the Dana, how do I test them? And ideally, what I do need to do is I do need to test them. Otherwise, I'm going to have to find another solution, and it'll be a lot more expensive solution. So, comments below, please. How do I test these speed controllers to destruction? I got a couple of them. I want to push them and push them and push them and see what ampage they can actually deal with, because clearly that hasn't gone. No way. 640 amp? No. Anyway, comments below, please.
So as you can see, that one didn't quite go to plan, and Master Maker's kind of been thinking about it and working on it ever since. What's also been happening is we've been doing some testing on the Dana. and we got it out, drove it around. The weather forecast for this bit is extremely sunny, and I do have to give a trigger warning. If you suffer from PTS knee, there's some very knobbly middle-aged knees in this next clip. Anyway, things seem to go to plan, but now, knowing what we know about the fire engine, I think there's going to be some more work needed on the darner. And I'm going to leave you with this clip and say goodbye, see you next time.
Start again. Just keep the camera fixed at one point.